Hello and welcome to the next video of my LPL Summer 2022 preview. We're covering JD Gaming in this video, as you can see here. Finished third place in spring. I have them ranked 8th going into summer. You know, I feel like this is where things get hairy between 1st through 8th. I think that anybody here could be a team that could come out and go to Worlds after summer, and breakout. I probably should have said breakout. Um, BLG also in the last video, theoretically, on paper, they should be able to do it, but I feel like there are some issues with that team, like I went over yesterday. But JD Gaming, so 11-5 last in the spring. Their academy team finished 8th out of 24 teams. They added a bot laner. Did not play at all in spring for anybody in the LDL. He's expected to play in their bot lane, or at least alongside Tut, so not relevant to the main team. 369 is the top laner. He was lackluster this past split. Probably one of the reasons why they were held back. Sure, towards the end they were better, but in the early stages of the split they struggled a lot. His CS per minute was under 8, which is not good enough. 58.2% KP, so kind of in that middle range. Not a split pusher, but not a team fighter. And with that poor of a CS per minute, really, there's no excuse for it with a KP like that. 17.7 kill share, wasn't a big kill threat. 21% gold share, so his gold share is much higher than his kill share. And 10 out of 38 champion pool, not a massive champion pool. Nothing on 369's numbers, says, wow, this player is really good. In the spring, at least in the past split. Obviously, 369's a really good player, but this past spring he struggled. Underneath him, you have Unravel and 705. Neither one have much to write home about in the LDL. Neither eclipse the 8 CS per minute mark. Unravel definitely doesn't really have an excuse. 51% KP, so obviously on his own for most of the game, and that kind of CS is unacceptable. Gold share is pretty close to what his kill share is. So when he did fight, he did steal kills. 9 out of 18 champion pool. Maybe he needs to tone down the champion pool and focus more on what he, focus on a few champions that can do various things and try and get better in that way. 705, 7.1% CS per minute. That's just awful. 23.5% kill share, so he was stealing kills also. As far as I can tell, based on these two teams, it's all about the jungle. Kanavi was the top graded jungler this past split in the LPL, and based on stats and in my opinion, when similar to how RNG, and I feel like Bin makes RNG go, obviously people are going to say, oh, well, Yahoo makes RNG go. When Bin is not on, RNG I don't think is the best team in the world, but when he's on, they are. Kanavi is like that, but to a, middling to upper tier LPL team kind of way, not a RNG where it's like upper LPL team to world contender. Kanavi, 6 CS per minute, 26% kill share. He was very dominant for JDG a lot of games this year. Kanavi was what made things go. 70% KP. His kill share was 7% higher than his gold share. Played 10 different champions. Kanavi, very, very good. Arguably the best jungler out there. Zhao, 17 underneath him. Similar, 5.68, 72% KP, 25% KS, and 20% GS. So he very similar stats, very similar play styles out of the LPL and LDL teams when it comes to the jungler carrying the game. Zhao 17 obviously needs to farm a little bit better, but Kanavi is a fabulous, fabulous jungler. Definitely what makes this team go. Yagao, 5 KDA, 8.5 roughly CS per minute, which is the lower end of where you want to be optimally. 60% KP, which is, like I said in the last video, you look at Team World Elite and you have two guys that had 75% KP and equivalent CS per minute in the case of Shanks. So Yagao either needs to start farming better or get into more fights. 20.9% kill share, and 21.9% gold share. So a very low kill share for him as well. I felt like Yagao definitely was not an impact player for this team. Like I said, I feel like Kanavi did a lot of the work, and Hope as well, where Yagao was kind of an afterthought. Insulator, 7.1 KDA, 855 CS per minute. Much higher KP, 6% higher, 67%. Roughly the same kill share and slightly higher gold share. So he was making things happen, getting more involved, getting assists, not necessarily kills. Obviously not ready for the LPL yet with only an 855 CS per minute. And King G, I'm going to go King Shi, 7.2, 8.65, like I said. So both mid laners, pretty similar stats. King Shi only played Rise when he played in the 3 games he did. Obviously, that lends to a higher kill participation, being a roamer with 74%. So really kind of shows just how good the jungler was, ensuring that both mid laners had high KDAs, didn't die often in lane, and had relatively okay CS per minute, around 8.5 to 8.7. Just, it's in the LTL. So really, how high would it be against better laners? Remains to be seen. Bot lane, this is where things had question marks this past split. This is what drew question marks this past split. They went back and forth between LPC and Hope for a little while. LPC got into 5 games, clearly outmatched by Hope. Hope outfarmed him by 1.19 CS per minute, which is pretty large. KDA was 4 higher. Roughly gotten the same amount of fights, roughly the same amount of kills, but the gold share was 1.5% higher for Hope because he just outfarmed the hell out of LPC, and LPC put JDG in a hole. And you could argue that that's what hurt other stats on this team, and why they struggled in the early part of the split was that LPC just wasn't doing the job. Probably might need a change of scenery, because Tut down in the LDL, 9.2 CS per minute, almost 1 higher than Hope, even at lower competition. I have to imagine that even in the LPL, Tut would outfarm LPC. Kill share slightly less, gold share much higher, which is kind of concern. I mean, obviously it's much higher. He farmed more, but he didn't get in as many kills, didn't get in as many fights, so it makes sense that he did get more farm. Not participating as often. 6 out of 32 champion pool, you'd like that to be higher. That was the one drawback with Hope, by the way. Only played 4 champions, as you see here, 4 out of 33 games. So that is not nearly good enough. That's a glaring issue with this team that they will need to build on. You don't want Hope banned out, because 369 is showing a lack of carry potential in spring. Yagao, the same thing. So it ends up being Kanavi, which Kanavi I'm sure is drawing a lot of bans. But I think that's where you need to look to improve in these last few weeks before summer. Support missing is a solid support. 70 KP, 361 KDA. Played 8 champions. I don't think he was middle of the road. Didn't hurt you, didn't help you all that much. Playing with different bot laners doesn't help his cause. Feather in LDL, very low KP, 62%. That's kind of drawing my attention as a question mark, because Tut had 66%, so Tut was getting into more fights than Feather. I don't know why Feather was kind of lagging behind, not creating, not roaming, not doing things. 7 out of 32 champion pool. That's definitely a glaring issue with the development team that might want to be worked on in between spring and summer. Obviously, it being a development team, that's what it's for. Maybe that's what held them back a bit, held back Tut. I wonder how Tut might have done with a more active support. But that's that for JDG. If you're a fan of JDG, comment down below. What do you think going into summer? What do you think held 369 back? What were his issues in spring? Do you think this is just the Kanavi show? Are there any LDL fans out there, maybe of Joy Dream? What do you like about some of these LDL players? Subscribe to the channel. Follow my playlist for the LPL summer previews. I'm also going to do the other 3 regions before their splits begin. So there might be overlap of, the LEC and LCS videos are coming on the same day, things like that. Right now, LPL videos are by themselves. because there's 17 teams, and I don't know when the LPL is going to start, so this has to get done now. And plus, the LPL teams are relatively figured out. There's not a lot of movement, so makes it easier. So like the video if you like it. Subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content, and I hope you come back for more.